as a man in particular, right, you don't really have the ability to give life. So to give a piece of yourself in order to give life is an extraordinary opportunity.
You donated a kidney less than 3 weeks ago.
Right.
We weren't sure if you were even going to make it.
I happened to notice out of the corner of my eye that there was a Renewal booth set up. And so I'm not sure what propelled me at that particular moment. And they said, no, this is good news. You're going to be our 1,500th donor. I just felt overwhelmed with gratitude to the Ribono Shel Olam.
Okay, we have here Elizabeth, a very, very special guest, someone I've known probably longer than, I don't even know how long I know our guest here, because he's sort of as a local, but we have here with us the rabbi of Bima, Beis Medrash of Bergenfield, Rabbi Zev Goldberg, who is here not officially because he's not fully back. Rabbi Goldberg was on the cover, but really was really donated. You donated a kidney less than 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Okay, and via Renewal, and we weren't sure if you were even going to make it, okay? And the truth is, and you walked in, like, I'm just going to tell you straight out, you are not the Rabbi Goldberg that I know. I'm being serious. You are not standing the same way. I can see, I can't see exactly what you're feeling, but I know, I see that you're not at 100%.
Full capacity yet. Yeah.
So
thanks for coming.
Yeah. So thank you for coming. So
sure.
So then now I'm feeling bad. Okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us what happened to you about a year ago? Maybe
Sure.
Would you start with that?
Yeah. So this goes back to May of 2025. I was at the RCA convention. The RCA is the Rabbinical Council of America. And they have a convention that's put on every year. And part of the convention, they have a bunch of vendors that come. Rabbi Mark Penner, who runs the RCA, very wisely places the dessert food and like the tea room in the middle of a room that's surrounded by vendors. So that's really why I went to get swabbed. I was really looking for a cookie or something along those lines, probably coffee and a cookie. And I happened to notice out of the corner of my eye that there was a Renewal booth set up. And so I'm not sure what propelled me at that particular moment, but I'm like, hey, why not? I likely in the back of my head, I was thinking about all of the people that I had heard of over the years that had donated a kidney, and probably somewhat subconsciously, I wanted to be part of that club. And so thinking out loud now, I likely had a cup of coffee in one hand and a really delicious cookie in the other hand. And I went to go get swabbed. And after that point, I really don't think I thought about that moment until about late February or early March of 2026, when I got a call from Renewal.
Well, you knew about Renewal, I'm saying,
Sure.
and you've been in rooms where they were doing that, and we've had it, and you've talked about it in shul.
Sure,
I'm saying,
yeah.
besides dessert, like, was there anything else that kind of, or you just didn't?
I think Renewal has done a great job of building their brand as an amazing chesed organization that facilitates people saving lives. And so when I saw the Renewal banner by the booth, likely caught my attention just from my past experiences with Renewal. And as I said, I don't remember offhand what I was actively thinking about at that time, but I did get swabbed, and that's when I got a call in March of 2026, that I was a possible match for someone, a young man actually in his early 40s, someone that's not religious, but Jewish. And this individual was suffering from renal failure and needed a kidney. And I was told that I was a match. The truth is, Renewal does such a great job with screening the possible donors that by the time you are selected, it's more likely that you are an excellent match, not just a possible match, but really an excellent match, because they use so many different layers of DNA testing to ensure that the donor and the recipients, the kidney will do well in the recipient's body.
And that was just from a cheek swab at that point?
Just from a cheek swab at that point, yeah.
So they can tell whether someone's an excellent match. That's sort of an advancement in the technology, maybe.
I suppose so, yeah. I haven't followed the history of the organization, but I do know that as we were waiting, this now jumping forward to June, but as we were waiting for the surgery, there were two wonderful people from Renewal that had come to support us that day, and they were just telling there was some delay with us getting the OR ready. So they were telling us some fabulous stories about kidney donation, and in that context, they were also telling us about how the science has progressed and how they work with some world-renowned DNA expert who helps them create a system in which the donors and recipients are matched up with this level of precision that is, certainly on the cutting edge of science right now.
Wow. Okay, so then you were faced with sort of another crossroads at that point in March. They say, do you want to, what do they ask you at that point?
Was it an easy yes? Was it a quick yes? Or was it considered yes?
I think most reasonable people have to take a little bit of time to think about it before signing on the dotted line. I had this wonderful, I don't remember her title, but her role was a donor specialist. She called me, her name was Khani, and she said, I have good news that you came up in our system as a match for this recipient. She put out a couple of caveats from the outset, like, for example, once you donate your kidney, you should not have Advil or Motrin, things along those lines, on an ongoing basis, because the Advil and the Motrin are metabolized in the kidney, and it can put some stress on a person with one kidney. So she actually said that from the outset.
And as a rabbi, you rely on it.
A lot of headaches as a rabbi, so I rely on it big time.
But that's a big deal,
Thank God, not so many headaches in BMI at all. But it is something that she put out there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think what else she mentioned.
So you can only take Tylenol, aspirin now? That's it?
Pretty much. I'm not a nephrologist, but the general guidelines are to really keep the Advil, Motrin, and those types of medicines down to a very minimal amount, if any.
Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I began my journey. It happens to be in the way the Ribbon Shalom runs this world with such precision that just a day or two prior, I had gone to a doctor for my regular checkup, which I will admit right now, I don't do with such regularity. I'm not so cautious, I suppose, to have a checkup once a year, but I happen to have had a checkup, and the doctor messaged me through the portal that thank God everything looks good, and I was feeling this tremendous sense of hakaras hatov for being healthy. And literally within a few hours, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the timeline with precision, but within a few hours or within a day or two, I got the call from Renewal. I just felt overwhelmed with gratitude to the Ribbon Shalom. At that time, also, a childhood friend of mine, Alana Goldman-Gottfried, had passed away. That weighed heavy on my heart, on the heart of my wife as well, and we were just feeling really, really sad, and also at the same time, sometimes grief can focus light on all that you can be grateful for. And I was just feeling so grateful for my own health, for my family's health, and so getting the call from Renewal, literally as all of those events were happening, just seemed to me a sign from the Ribbon Shalom that I have the ability, Baruch Hashem, to help give life to somebody else.
It's really beautiful. It actually calls to mind another memory that I had. I've had the opportunity to interview maybe 20 plus kidney donors over the last 10, 12 years. And one of them never agreed to give her name publicly. She agreed to have her picture as part of Renewal, but it was a long time ago. It was before the whole Rabbi Rothwach's thing. And she had sort of made a kind of like a cheshbon hanefesh about her decision.
Right.
And she never wanted to do it for the publicity. And even later, when everyone was like, go up there, it'll encourage other people.
Right.
She went back to her rabbi and she talked, and he said, so tell Elizabeth the story. It happens to be someone in my show, and she'll say it. She'll communicate this without using your name. And you basically just said what she said.
Right.
So Rabbi Neuberger,
Elizabeth,
thanks.
if there was ever a time for you to divulge the name, it should be right now.
No, can't.
I'm just kidding.
Can't do it.
I will say that as we were waiting for the surgery to begin, it was scheduled for 1, and it didn't take place until 5 p.m., which I know is kind of typical in hospitals, especially when it comes to a kidney donor and recipient surgery, they have to have 2 ORs ready.
Right.
So it adds to the complexity of scheduling. And so when we were waiting, so Rabbi Moshe Gortz, who's one of the wonderful people that works for Renewal, so he mentioned that when Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz was preparing to donate his kidney, he also was going to be donating it anonymously until, I don't remember if Rabbi Leibowitz asked Rabbi Willig or if Schechter, I don't remember the particulars, but basically one of those Rabbanim said to him, like, you have to go public because you have the opportunity to inspire other people to go ahead and donate their kidneys. And a number of donations have happened, really all tied back to Rabbi Leibowitz's very inspirational story.
Right.
So I'm here actually today for that very purpose. I don't need the spotlight. I have more than enough spotlight in my shul. And even though I'm a rabbi and I regularly stand in front of rooms, you know, I don't need more glory. My ego is big enough. But I'm really here because it has been an inspiring journey for me. And while I'm still in the process of healing, like you mentioned, you know, anything that I can do to help facilitate more people stepping forward is something that I would very much like to contribute toward. It's interesting, if you look online, you can see the data regarding how many people require a kidney or waiting for kidneys. And I think last time I checked, there were over 90,000 people in the United States that were waiting for kidneys, which far outshines any other organ that people are waiting for. You know, likely that's because there's dialysis, so people who are in need of a kidney can still stay alive. It's
Survive.
a very crummy type of life, but ultimately they can stay alive longer and wait. If someone's in need of a heart, God forbid, there's only a certain amount of time you can wait. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing with you what I've picked up over the little bit of time that I've been doing the research. But there are over 90,000 people that are currently waiting for a kidney, and I think Renewal has a few thousand recipients that are waiting to be recipients, I should say. And so it's not a small matter. You know, ultimately donating your kidney requires a significant abdominal surgery, but what you can provide to somebody by giving them life is something that is very meaningful.
One of the things I miss most of being one of my jokes is I'm a retired rabbi. One of the things I miss most about is really here learning that everyone has a special, everyone's special in their own way. As a rabbi, I'm sure you've counseled people who have renal failure, needed a kidney. I can't imagine that must have had an impact also. You know, meaning a rabbi deals with his balabatim, and
right.
You know, I'm for sure in Israel Fort Lee in a prior shul, you had people
Sure.
going through this.
Sure. Even going back before that, I remember when I was in Los Angeles, I worked as an assistant rabbi for Rabbi Muskin for 4 years. In fact, my phone number is still a 310 number. I sort of joke around that I'm hopeful that the 310 number keeps me warm in the cold New Jersey winters. It doesn't. But I remember one time as an assistant rabbi, I went to sit with somebody during their dialysis treatment. And there are a couple of takeaways from that experience that stay with me even until today. But number one, just in terms of the Yad Hashem and how incredible it is that we have bodies that generally work. I mean, the dialysis machine, this goes back more than a decade, so things might have changed from a technological perspective, but the dialysis machine was very, very large. And to think that the Ribbon Shalom has given us 2 kidneys that are much, much smaller and do the same job as that large machine and do it better, to me, that was a moment of tremendous niflaos habore, really being inspired by the Yad Hashem. And then secondly, and this is also something that really does stay with me, is it's very, very difficult to live on dialysis. Someone that's on full dialysis is spending hours and hours and hours on a dialysis machine and then coming home wiped. It's just a very difficult life. So Baruch Hashem, we have the ability to extend someone's life through dialysis, but to say like, well, you can manage on dialysis it's a very, very difficult verdict for somebody. So the opportunity to give a piece of yourself is something really extraordinary. When I was preparing for the surgery the Shabbos before, so this Rabbi Moshe Goldberg called me and he was getting me all psyched up and he kept saying, Yisurin Shel Ahava, Yisurin Shel Ahava. So first of all, his point was Yisurin Shel Ahava. The Ahava is Ahavas Yisrael. Right? So usually we think about Yisurin Shel Ahava as if a Jew suffers, it's the Ribbon Shalom sending a punishment for some larger benefit that we don't always have the opportunity to see and to appreciate. And so this is a little bit of a reframe. It's Yisurin Shel Ahava. It's suffering for the sake of a Ahavas Hashem. I'm sorry, for Ahavas Yisroel. How much you love a fellow Jew. That really struck with me. I don't think that I have yet to reach that level where I can tell you like, oh yes, 100% it was pure. But it's certainly a bar that's quite high and a very beautiful way of thinking about it. And then someone else also mentioned something to me that I found to be so meaningful, that as a man in particular, right, you don't really have the ability to give life. Women have the privilege of bringing life into this world, and obviously it takes two to tango. But in the end of the day, women bring life into this world, and men don't have the same opportunity. So to give a piece of yourself in order to give life is an extraordinary opportunity. I'm very grateful that I had such an opportunity.
So unique.
That's good. I call it, that's good renewal Torah. I like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Rabbi J.J. Schachter gave a speech at the Sudat Hoda'ah, I think, for Rabbi Yosef Adler when he received a kidney. And he said he had never really understood the concept of refuas hanefesh v'refuas haguf. So and how to not just cure your soul and your body, but using the guf to help cure somebody else, to comprehend the idea of being the immense power that science has provided, I guess.
Yeah,
the immense, I sort of see it as like a miracle of modern medicine, that we've become able to extend people's lives and really bring them to a new life.
Sure.
Going to renew. I think a lot of the recipients celebrate their kidney-versary or something.
It could
Have you
be.
heard that?
Sure.
Okay. Have you met your recipient?
No, as a general rule, Renewal does not match up the donor and recipient before the surgery or even in the immediate aftermath of the surgery. It's my understanding that Renewal wants the donors to feel really good about what they did and how they were able to have a very significant chilek, a portion, in bringing the recipient back to life. But that takes time. And so I think Renewal's position is it's really best if the recipient is at his or her full strength before making the shidduch. So I hope when I was waiting for the surgery, so it was in Cornell, and in the pre-op area, I was waiting with my family on one side of the hallway, and the recipient was literally on the other side of the hallway.
So you saw each other?
No. And the Renewal staff orchestrated it as such that we really did not see each other. But the recipient asked the Renewal staff to bring me a letter that he wrote. It was a really special letter where he thanked me.
Wow.
It was very special, and it certainly gave me a lot of chizuk. And it helped with the Yisurin Shel Ahava that we spoke about.
Wow, yeah. That's really special. Did your family have any opinions regarding the donation?
Well, everyone has been extremely supportive. My wife, Michal in particular, has been an extraordinary support for me. We know before we agreed, because I say we because it really is a partnership from that sense. Before we agreed to move forward, we spoke with a number of doctors. There is a wonderful nephrologist on my own shul, Dr. Alan Perlman, who works in Cornell, of all places. Great. And so he was one of the first calls that I made, and he was extremely supportive and was encouraging. I remember in the context of that first conversation, in the end of the day, I said, Alan, if your own son wanted to donate his kidney, what would you say? And Alan's words were, I would be beaming with pride. And that's kind of all I needed. But we did speak with a couple of other doctors as well, just to make sure that for me and for my family, it was the right decision to make. It's not right for everybody for a whole slew of reasons. But for me and for my family, I'm hopeful it was the right decision to make. And so Michal has been with me every step of the journey and has been particularly really extraordinary in caring for me post the surgery, and also a really strict gatekeeper. So before I run my next marathon, I definitely have to clear it. I
thought we said no running. Okay.
And then my parents, my in-laws, everyone's just very, very, very proud. Very proud. Ultimately, in this case, you come to the surgery from a point of strength and a point of feeling that you're making a contribution, right? When you go to a hospital, you see all of the sick people that are hobbling about. you feel very grateful that you're there for
Yeah.
a really positive reason. If you're not there for labor and delivery, then the next best reason is to be a kidney donor. So I think everybody just feels very proud.
That's great. Beautiful. My son happened to meet your parents a couple of weeks ago,
Okay.
actually, and a week later, my son found out that you were donating your kidney because of me, and I told him, and he's like, "Oh, they're going to be so proud of him."
It doesn't take much for my
was very
parents to
cute.
beam with nachas.
Because they were both, I guess they were both in Teaneck after having, my son had been in Bergenfield in our neighborhood, all the way in Teaneck in your parents' neighborhood,
Right.
and was looking for directions to his friend's house near Young Israel. And I think you said, just ask someone who looks Jewish if you get lost, right? Do you remember that?
He found my house,
He found
yes.
he found your parents.
Oh, that's funny.
And he had a nice conversation with them.
But just tell us about like that, maybe like after, like, you know, the how was the first day post surgery? How was has it been really every day a little better, or it was a week kind of the same pain, or
No, every day is markedly better than the previous day. At a certain point it kind of trails off and you're just in a better space overall. The day of the surgery was June 30th, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday. June. I think it was
We don't
June-
know.
I think it was Tuesday,
I think it
June
was
30th.
Tuesday,
It was,
usually,
I think,
It was
the last
I
day
think it
in
was a
June.
Tuesday because
Yeah.
that works well for our deadline
Exactly.
cycle.
There you go. And we had to be there like 11:30 in the morning, and the renewal staff met me there because they had this balloons.
Oh,
that
yeah,
they
the
wanted to take
1500,
a picture with
right.
1500. We kind of joke around in my family that there was some other poor, kidney recipient whose surgery had to be pushed off for a couple of days. So a rabbi from Bergen County could be the
Oh, that's funny.
1500th donor.
That's hilarious.
I'm not sure if
I-
that's true or
I
not.
don't think
but
so.
Hopefully not. I don't think Renewal would ever do that. They
They're
actually
already at like 1508 at
yeah,
this
it's
point.
amazing. Excuse me. They actually called me a few days in advance. They said, Rabbi Goldberg, you have to sit down. I said, and I was nervous actually that maybe the
Something was
recipient
up.
wasn't able to
Oh,
receive the kidney.
right.
And they said, well, no, this is good news. You're going to be our 1500th donor. I said, so do I get like a shopping spree and ShopRite?
like 1500.
Just balloons.
Exactly.
Just
So they
balloons.
said no, but there'll be some press regarding Renewal and the incredible success that the number represents, which I'm all for supporting Renewal. They've been just incredible. Anyway, so we got to the hospital, took a picture with the 1500 number balloons.
We put it on the cover.
There you go. Exactly. I know. Trust me, I know.
We know.
And, from there we went in, and Renewal orchestrates it, as I mentioned, as such, where the recipient is on one side, the donor is on the other, with curtains. So you really don't see from one to the other. And then we honestly just waited. We waited about 4 hours.
Yeah.
We were told it was going to be 1 o'clock. I think everybody that was there knew that in hospital settings, oftentimes surgeries get delayed. So they didn't take me until 5 o'clock. But by 7:11, Michal already got a call from the surgeon that the nephrectomy was completed. I wasn't out of surgery that quickly, but the kidney was already out of my body by 7:11, which is just really incredible. And then, I went. The surgery. Let me say it this way: I was in my room, my personal room, by 12:30 that night. So that's already Wednesday morning, and then by Thursday morning we were, discharged from the hospital. The donors that I think all kidney donors, but certainly through Renewal, are treated to the VIP floor in Cornell. So that's like a little bit of a fun perk. There's a 14th floor in Cornell, which is where all of the, Russian oligarchs and all of the
Wealthy.
rich, wealthy Middle Eastern oil
So you got to see it.
oil titans come. So I stayed on that floor also. It was a nice perk. It was quiet and whatnot. And then that was it. Came home, and every day was, better and better and better. But I would say for the first 2 weeks, I really was laying low. I didn't go to shul. I was just generally home, and then just shy of 2 weeks started to go back to
Wait,
shul.
have you given a drasha to the shul?
No,
said?
that'll be this Shabbos, Mirz Hashem, but not about this. I don't want to.
Really? The
draw
shul
more
hasn't seen you
attention.
though, so
I mean, the people that go to shul during the week have seen me. We happen to have a bar mitzvah Shabbos, so the focus will be on the bar mitzvah boy and the bar mitzvah family. But I'll certainly begin by thanking everybody for their incredible warmth and support. Everybody in the shul has been just so wonderfully supportive and loving and caring and respectful of my space and my privacy. So it's been a very positive experience in that angle.
It seems like it's something that you'll be thinking about for some time and processing for a while. And there's no like time deadline of when you have to give that share, but I think it will be appreciated.
It's not. Maybe. Ultimately, this is not something for everybody,
right?
And that's something you have to be conscious of as a rabbi when you talk about a particular act of chesed that not everybody is able to be involved with. You don't want to make people feel badly if they can't do so. I don't know. Ultimately, I try to do the right thing. I'm proud of that. I'm grateful for my health and the ability that I had to do the right thing. But I don't plan to talk about it going forward in the shul on an ongoing basis.
I'm going to just say something to you as someone who studies rabbis, and retired rabbi, ex-rabbi, whatever. I'm just going to tell you something. I'm almost going to guarantee that someone will come to you in the next few years and say, I was really inspired. And I just want you to understand the dynamic. If the rabbi can do it, I can. I'll never forget Rabbi Glasser once told me his shul was building a campaign. He said, Moshe, I made a $10,000 gift.
Right.
And he said, and they said, and everyone, basically that became the minimum gift.
Right.
Because if the rabbi can do it,
right.
How can I give less than the rabbi did? And that's money, and this is a kidney, and not everyone's going to give a kidney. But I am telling you that psychological dynamic exists among anyone who takes your shul as being a member of your shul seriously. And I am sure that is playing out. I can almost guarantee that you will see that. I can't say when, but I can say it will.
But the fact that you're not making this all about you and you're not making yourself all about kidneys is interesting. Like, I think journalistically, at least, it's you're a whole person. I'm
a whole person
minus
a
one kidney.
Yeah.
But you have however many organs left, minus one.
Most of them.
You lost a pound, right? How much is a kidney?
It's like 1.8 or something.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like easiest 1.8 you'll ever. No.
There you go.
No, but like, everybody is so much more than the sum of their parts.
Sure.
And I think what's interesting about the renewal story inside our community is that we have found a way to give back that is not money, that is a huge chesed, and there are many ways to do chesed, and sometimes that has to do with calling up a friend on the phone when they're having a tough time, or making a meal for a new baby. But there are also things that can be done that are big, and those when a rabbi does it inside our community, it's noteworthy. It is what it is, though. Like you're saying, it's not who you are.
I was called, by Renewal for my DNA, not because I'm a rabbi. Listen, Elizabeth, I'm proud to lead by example. Mm-hmm. Put it at that. Yeah. I don't plan to rehash the story 100 times. I will say that when we were waiting for the surgery, we got to learn a lot about Renewal. So something that Rabbi Goldberg said is that other faith-based communities have actually reached out to Renewal to try to replicate the model, and they have failed miserably. The only success story, and it's just modest success at this point, is with vets. They have been able to create an organization where people who served in the army will give a kidney for a fellow vet, which is very beautiful. But it's fascinating that other faith-based communities have not been able to replicate a Renewal model, which speaks to the Yisurim Shel Ahava, right? Mm-hmm. There's a sense of Ahavas Yisrael that permeates our community that ultimately, does propel people to step forward in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. And I'm so inspired by everybody else who has donated their kidney just out of Ahavas Yisrael, that even if I fall short in my own Ahavas Yisrael, I'm just proud to be associated with other people who really shine.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not sure I have anything else. Yeah. Thank you, Rabbi. So,
thanks for coming today.
Hatzlacha on the refuah. Hopefully, when this comes out, you will be fully back to full 100% health.
Good. It takes time. You have to go slow. I really just keep hearing that from everybody. The importance of listening to your body. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I think my energy is largely, back to what it was, give or take. I still feel the surgery. So I'm just trying to listen to my body and go slow.
Is it a large scar?
No, it depends on who your surgeon is. At Cornell, they have a world-renowned surgeon who does single port surgery, which means that essentially it's laparoscopic, and they were able to basically have all of the instruments enter through one entry point. So there's only one significant scar to speak of, and it's not even that long. It's probably like 5 inches long. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Hatzlacha. With every time you get in front of your shul, and I think you'll be back in the classroom also as well. Just go from strength to strength.
Amen.
Thanks for being with us on the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. If you would like to participate or be in touch with us in any way, please email us at editor@jewishlink.news and follow us and find our podcast wherever you find podcasts.